back to the Up and About podcast. I am your host, Yzobel, and I hope you're all doing well. I missed you guys. I hope your November is cozy, warm, nice, and you're spending it with a lot of your loved ones. Last week, Josh and I and a group of friends went to Whistler, and shout out to my girl Florence for setting this up. But it was one of the most memorable experiences I had this year. We stayed at a beautiful luxury mansion in Whistler for 2 nights, and we just had the most relaxing time. It was definitely one of those manifestation and surreal moments when you walk into a place and a space and you realize, whoa, this is my life. This is something that has been manifesting in the works for years, and now I'm really living my dream life. And I know living in a place like this will happen within the next 5 years. And to be able to be in such a surreal environment surrounded by nature, the mountains, the majestic trees, the cold air, I was really taken aback also by the design of the house, especially the interior design. I got so much inspiration. There were lots of little design details that were so intentional that I took as motivation and inspiration for the future dream home and house that I'd want to live in the future. The energy of a space makes such a big difference, and as a design enthusiast, I absolutely loved it. I think the purpose of good design is functionality and aesthetics, and you can tell that the person that owned this Airbnb intentionally made this home specifically for an Airbnb. It was just so well designed. I love little details like having an AC and temperature control in each and every room. I loved the heated floors. I felt a huge difference, especially having a heated floor in the kitchen and in the bathroom. The ambient warm lighting that was intentionally placed was just so perfect this winter. I also loved how thin the TVs were and how they look like picture frames when they're turned off. So they legit look like art pieces, and you can choose the background of the TVs, and they don't look like TVs at all unless you turn them on and you realize where the remotes are. I absolutely love being in spaces like that, and I love being in luxurious spaces that just feel right. It just feels like another affirmation that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, that these spaces and places and homes are possible, attainable, and being in a room like that and feeling all the energy with all my friends and my boyfriend, with good food, good company, good vibes. All of us were watching the whole season of The Golden Bachelor those 2 days. It was so much fun. It felt natural, it felt right, and it just made me feel so excited for the future and what is to come for all of us. And it was exactly what we needed that weekend, especially coming through the end of the year, which is a more introspective time for me, and also a time where I've started to think about the next year and have started to plan my vision boards and my goals and my dreams. It really felt like the perfect weekend to do that, and I highly suggest that when you get the chance and when you do have the time, putting yourself in the environment and the places that you want to be in, being able to manifest that energy and feel the momentum and feel what it's like to be in homes and neighborhoods and offices and events that is very true to you and your dreams and your goals. Feeling that energy is definitely a form of manifestation and affirmation for the future. If that is something that you desire and that you want, putting yourself in that energy and that vibration takes you a step forward into cultivating the life of your dreams, and I am such an advocate for that. Fun date ideas include just driving around your dream neighborhood, looking at your dream houses. That's something I used to do a lot, and also something that I still love doing. Even looking at listings that are available right now in your dream city, finding your dream house and taking those photos and putting it on your vision board, that is something that I've always done. And even more so now, coming home from that trip, all I've been doing is looking at amazing houses that exist that I love and I can envision myself living in. And it's so exciting that knowing within the next couple of years, those dreams and those manifestations will be yours and it will come true. But that being said, it was an amazing weekend. And when I came home, I definitely needed a couple days to just get back on track and rest. There's definitely a common cold going on right now, and the days are getting shorter. The sun is setting around 4 p.m. And it gets me excited to be in the holiday season. The apartment has been decorated with a couple of Christmas decorations. I'm sure there will be more in the next coming weeks. I hope you're getting into that holiday end of the year spirit. I know that I definitely am, and I'm so excited for the gatherings and the hosting of holiday parties, baking with friends, the Christmas music, the decorating, all the amazing pajama parties and food and gift giving. It is definitely the best season and time of the year. And as we're ending the year, today I wanted to talk about my favorite books that I've read this year and how they've impacted me and how I know they will impact you as well. I have 6 favorite books that I wanted to talk about today, and they are all in different industries, but mainly falling on the topic of courage, communication, spirituality, and relationships. I can say that these 6 books have definitely impacted me and those areas of my life. I'm in a season now where I so prioritize my quality of relationships, investing in my friendships, investing in my romantic relationship, investing in my mental health, being a better daughter, a better sister, a better friend, a better girlfriend. And I believe that a lot of that has to do with learning how to be vulnerable, learning how to be in touch with yourself and your feelings, and being a great communicator. Being able to communicate your needs, express them, reading the other person's needs, empathizing and feeling compassion for the other person. All of that is, I think, one of the foundations of being a great communicator and building a great friendship. And so if those topics are of interest to you, I know that you'll for sure love these books as well. Okay, so starting on the more spiritual side, the first book is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. This book is fantastic. It was written in 2012 and it combines neuroscience, quantum physics, biology, epigenetics, brain chemistry, and this book overall bridges the gap between science and spirituality through the art of meditation. Reading this book was honestly mind-blowing. It really got me more invested, and it gave me a deeper understanding of the importance of meditation and collective consciousness, which is really tuning in to the energy of the world and other humans, and not only feeling but changing energy. You can do this by breathing, breath work, meditating, and by being truly present and clearing your mind. You're able to focus on the life that you want to build, the life that you want to dream, the best version of you, by creating future memories and bringing them into the present. It seems pretty insane, but if you really think about it, this book argues that our brains are actually memories of the past. This book argues that our brains live in the past because our memories and our actions and our behaviors are based off of past events. So in order for you to have a different life, to behave differently, to think differently, you need to do something different, something that you haven't done before. And by meditating and asking your future self how to become you, if you think about you as an 80-year-old or a 90-year-old, asking your future self for advice through meditation. For example, there are so many types of meditations, but bringing memories of the future to the present is possible, and that is how you change and also manifest the life of your dreams, which is also why being in those environments that you desire, that's very powerful, because you're bringing awareness and consciousness and evoking feelings that are part of your future. There are incredible stories in this book about how a lot of people have healed their bodies just through their brains, releasing and accessing emotions, and how mind does affect matter. So through your thoughts and through your feelings, you can heal your body because mind and matter are connected. So there are incredible, surreal stories about how people with rare diseases, people with severe depression, people that have experienced incredibly traumatic events in their lives have healed in the most miraculous ways through continuous practice of breathing and meditation and accessing specific energy that they wanted to manifest in their lives. And it is just so powerful. The next book I wanted to talk about is called Daring Greatly by Dr. Brené Brown. And Daring Greatly talks about the power of vulnerability, especially because our society has this narrative of quote unquote being never enough or not good enough, which stems a lot of insecurity for a lot of people. Daring Greatly is really a book about courage and being able to express your authentic self and the power that it has to become magnetic, especially in relationships. Dr. Brené Brown argues that vulnerability is the door to true connection, and having the courage to access that vulnerability in any time, space, situation is very powerful because you're able to embrace who you are and own who you are fully and live a life that is fulfilling and whole and authentic to you just by expressing your honesty, the things you love, your interests, the things you feel afraid about, pursuing your passions, and having the confidence to be yourself. It's a really heartwarming book and such an easy read. She is so funny and wonderful to listen to, and her stories are just relatable. And it's one of those books that you can read over and over again because you would need that reminder for sure. Along the topic of courage is the third book called The Courage to Be Disliked, which is a book based on Japanese philosophy. This book is really easy to read as well because it is written in a dialogue between a philosopher and a student, where the student will ask the philosopher questions. And I mean deep questions about the meaning of life, living to your fullest potential, and overall living life fully on your own terms and nobody else's terms. This is definitely more of a philosophical book, and it has a lot of Adlerian psychology, which is a type of psychology that encourages people to take full accountability of their lives and allows you to take full ownership of your choices. I really love this book, and I love the concept of Adlerian psychology because it doesn't tolerate the victim mentality. In fact, it has a lot of strong take on reframing trauma and adding your own meaning to an event. It also goes really deep into having the courage to walk your own path. This is definitely one of those books that you'd need to take notes and highlight a lot of sentences and paragraphs and lessons because it's just a book that just keeps giving. Any page is packed with knowledge, and it is just such a fantastic book about accountability personal responsibility, and owning your choices and owning your life, which I am a huge believer of. I definitely believe that we create the lives that we want, and we are not just a subject and product of our environment. The next book is called Nonviolent Communication, and this book is a book that I'm just ending right now. It has been extremely impactful, and the premise of the book is to have empathy for the speaker, the other person that you're talking to first, so that they will have empathy for you. And being able to empathize with one another leads to a very productive and efficient way of communicating and de-escalating conflict, working through conflict productively, and also meeting one another's needs instead of compromising in a conflict. I love this book so much because there are so many examples of conflict resolution where both parties seem to be extremely satisfied, because nonviolent communication solves the problem of meeting each party's needs, whereas compromise does not meet each party's needs. It's such a beautiful and wholesome way of communicating efficiently and being able to feel compassion and understand the other person fully and wholly without becoming defensive or escalating a situation or judging the other person or even judging yourself in a situation. The author talks a lot about self-talk as well, and how having judgmental self-talk can actually lead to depression, especially because judgments are walls. And when we judge ourselves and when we judge others, we do not recognize that other person's needs, and we also don't recognize our own needs. It is such a powerful book that I know with practice will completely change the way that even I communicate with my loved ones. And I'm excited to even tell people about it, because now that I've read this book, I recognize the ways that everyday interactions can become violent and can escalate, and how if people just knew how to properly express how they were feeling and express their needs, the world would look so different. And I think that is why this is probably one of the most powerful books I've ever read. And now knowing how to de-escalate a situation and how to efficiently communicate my needs, it is just such a game changer in relationships, in conflicts, and just the way that the other person is able to see you and see you take up space and learn more about you, and for you to be able to learn more about the other person and even yourself, just by changing that internal dialogue of self-talk and having those non-judgmental thoughts. The next book is a book that my therapist recommended to me. It is called Us by Terrence Real, and it is a book about individualistic culture and how that ruins relationships, because it has a winner-takes-all mentality. Because we have a winner-takes-all individualistic society, it causes a lot of repetitive fights. It causes a lot of distance, and the whole premise of Us is throwing away that individualistic idea and putting the relationship and the collective of you and I, us, first. It is such a beautiful book with a lot of techniques on communication and deep psychological understanding of childhood trauma and the child brain versus the adult brain. It also has a lot of great diagrams on continuous and repetitive conflicts and arguments between couples and how to get out of that loop and solve them. This book is definitely geared towards couples that are in serious romantic relationships, and it is just such a beautiful and transformative book that will really impact your romantic life. Us argues that the relationship between you and another person is a separate entity, and so being able to nurture that separate entity is different because the relationship has different needs than individual needs. It is such a beautiful book, and I really highly recommend it for you if you are in a long-term and serious relationship, or even if you just started dating and want to learn about trauma and communication and how to communicate properly with your partner. And the last book that I wanted to talk about is, of course, Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pelz. I already have done a full episode on fasting and the fasting state and how it has truly healed my relationship with sugar. It's also helped me understand so much more of my menstrual cycle, and it's also helped me understand gut health, hormones, and how if you want to be interested or are in that intermittent fasting lifestyle, how women should definitely do it differently than men. Men work on a circadian rhythm of a 24-hour cycle, whereas women work on a 28-day cycle. And Dr. Mindy Pelz does an incredible job at breaking down which foods work best for you during different times of your cycle, as well as she breaks down different types of fasts and how your body will heal itself naturally through fasts, because our bodies were actually meant to go through a feast and famine cycle. She also goes really in depth about metabolic switching, which is how our hormones naturally burn fat through switching from using our sugar as energy for our bodies versus using fat as energy for our bodies. There are many different ways to access that, but the best way is through different types of various fasts based on the time of your cycle. She also has an incredible YouTube channel, which I watch almost every day. Being a part of the intermittent fasting community, I've just learned so much from her, and she is my go-to expert on the fasting lifestyle for women. All right, those were my 6 favorite books of the year so far. I'm sure there will be more that will come up as the year goes on, but I'm really excited for you to read these books. And if you have already, please let me know your thoughts. I'm so excited to be able to talk about these books with someone. So don't hesitate to message me on our Instagram community at About Podcast. And my personal Instagram is at Yzobel, at YZOBEL. I hope you're all staying comfy and cozy this November, and I'm excited to bring you guys some fun, festive activities for you to do this holiday season. All right, thank you for listening, and talk soon.